Greetings, petrolheads! Welcome back to Automation the Car Company Tycoon game. Today I'm gonna start this week of automation videos full of reviews with the GCA Sentinel by Donovan Chapman. Like you've seen him in the comment section before. He is one of the most active, if you will, one of the most loyal, you could say, subscribers on my channel, and I appreciate all his feedback and whatnot. And he has sent in a car, and this is it, the Sentinel. It is inspired by the Hyundai Genesis and made for Canadian everyday usage, with bad winters and everything. So it is not meant to be top-notch performance, but more of a little bit of practicality and a little bit of luxury, stuff like that. What is it made of? It is an AHS monocoque, AHS steel monocoque with a longitudinal engine placement, McPherson's up front, that makes sense, and then semi-trailing arm on the rear end is maybe. Yeah, it's also a fine choice. Maybe a little bit outdated for 2010, but probably still fine. We'll see about how this car performs a little bit later. We get aluminium panel materials to keep this car relatively light. Well, relatively light if you consider this size, and make for better prestige than steel. To be honest, I'm not a fan of the looks. I think there's a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit, like I think the headlights are too thin, and then there's this massive grille in the middle, but the sides of the front are empty, and the little things it has are all chromed. It's not my personal style, but it's all right. Chrome always makes a car look a little bit more prestigious, a little bit more expensive. And we got, I like this little detail with the side indicators. That's cool. And then we got chromed door handles. I just can't stop thinking of a Mitsubishi Eclipse when I see this rear end. Just the general shape, the way this rear window slopes down, and then the back is so rounded and then goes back the other way at the very bottom. That's very Eclipse-ish, I think. The rear end is, design-wise, I think it's fine. There's no visible indicators, but there'll be, somewhere in these three red taillight fixtures. I also like this little detail with the badge, and the chrome flowing away from it. That makes it look pretty high quality. So that's a good little detail. Also, these LED stripes added into these vents. Yeah, okay, I like the rear end better than the front end, but looks are always subjective, so don't listen to me. Alright, we got all-wheel drive, ideal for winters. And then we got a 3.5 liter V6 with a 93.1 bore and 85.6 stroke. A billet steel, whoa, very expensive parts. Very expensive bottom end parts as well. Do we have, indeed I should say, do we have any quality in there? No. And we got VVT on all cams. Wait, how many, what head type is this running? 4 valve per cylinder on a dual overhead cam. Alright, pretty standard. There we were. Whoa, we got VVL, and we got an extremely aggressive VVL profile. Yeah, probably there to make just lots of power from this capacity. 10.1 compression ratio. We'll speak about that a little bit later. Direct injection throttle per cylinder for great responsiveness. We got 56.8 throttle response. That's actually really good. That's sports car like. A standard intake with premium fuel, all the way leaned out, 68 ignition timing, and then 7,000 RPM limit. I wonder. This could go a lot higher. But he said it's not meant for top-notch performance. It's more about, like, you know, it's probably more about drivability and comfort, this car, I would imagine. Then long tubular headers with dual exhaust, or rather dual exhaust with long tubular headers. Then 409 horsepower is the exhaust limit. We get a high flow freeway cat, one reverse flow muffler, one baffled muffler. I rarely see baffled mufflers on modern cars. There's nothing wrong with them, but just generally, you know, people use either reverse flow mufflers or straight flow mufflers, because reverse flow if they don't want noise, and straight flow if they do want a little bit of noise. It's okay. Alright, sounds like a classical V6. Nothing wrong with that. Now the fuel octane, there's 91.9, and we're running on 95 octane fuel, so you could increase the compression ratio a little bit more. That would give us 8 more horsepower and 8 more newton meters of torque. Or is there, what is the standard fuel in Canada? Is it 91 or is it 92? No, I think 92 doesn't even exist anymore. And with that, I think, like, sure, go ahead and, like, this is one of the things you should constantly check when you're setting up an engine. Compression ratio. Do I have more fuel octane left? Or am I as close to the limit as I can get? Because if you have fuel octane left, you can increase the compression ratio, you can increase the ignition timing. For example, like this. And we're up to 342 horsepower from 333 just by using the fuel octane that we have. I'm just saying, it's the little things that can make quite a difference. Also, economy would go up from 25.41% to 26.13%, and that can really make a difference. Let's reset it to where it was. And overall, now at first I wasn't sure what to think of this torque curve, because yes, it's got a pretty nice flat torque curve up to about 4,000 RPM, which is where most people are gonna drive it, let's be honest. Then it climbs quite rapidly, the torque curve does, and then it's kind of cut off, and it makes peak power and peak torque at its RPM limit. So that's probably not really what you want, because you know you wanna make your torque, your peak torque somewhere. Well, at least if the rev limit is 7,000 RPM, then you at least want to make it at 4,000, maybe 4,500 at peak torque. You never want to make peak torque at at your RPM limit. It's just not a thing. Other than that, the fuel octane, well, other than those two things, it's okay. Let's see. We got a 7-speed automatic gearbox in here. He probably wanted an 8-speed, which is totally understandable. Or maybe he didn't. I don't know. 7-speed automatic is fine though in a car like this, which is not really about spoilers. So drivability is good. Spoilers is still at 24.3, which is not too bad. The top speed is set to 269. It can reach 267 according to this graph. We got an electric LSD for best possible, usage of the power, for best possible traction off the line. Power distribution is 42 to 58. We get a +7 quality in the gearbox, probably for a little bit faster shifting times, I would imagine. Hard long life road tires. That's an interesting choice. I mean, it's fine, but I would have expected like medium compound road tires, which is kind of average, I would say. Or is it? No, I think like most cars probably come with what the game would classify as hard long life road tires. Like if you buy a Polo or something, it's not medium compound road tires, it's hard long life road tires. We get 17-inch rims, which look good, but you could go a little bit higher, but that will make it so we have less wheel diameter, and less wheel diameter means there's less, how do I put this, there's less rubber between the rims and the road, and the more rubber you have, the better you can absorb like little bumps and whatnot. And it's when you look at the numbers, front tires 245/55 R17. The 55 in this case is this the rubber that's left after you put in the rim. So the more you have there, the better you can absorb little bumps. And 55 millimeters of that is fine, is totally fine. Rim material is steel for some reason. You could go at least for alloy, because this is not like a cheap car, I would imagine. With V6 and some quality in the gearbox section and all-wheel drive, I don't think this is gonna be a really cheap car, especially with carbon ceramic front brake discs. It's getting a little bit weird now. We get 3 pistons of carbon ceramic brake discs up front, and then vented discs with 3 pistons on the rear. We do not have brake fade, do we? No. Fully clad under tray is understandable for better fuel economy and slightly better top speed. Cooling airflow is 295, which is more than enough. You get so much brake airflow, all the brake airflow in the world. Luxury interior with 5 seats, luxury infotainment, advanced safety, all driver assists except launch control, because there's no launch control yet. +2 quality even in the safety. So this car is like really gonna protect you well if you have a crash. Active comfort springs with gas monotube dampers and then passive sway bars, and a comfortable suspension setup. No bottoming out, Roll angle is fine at 3.6 degrees. +2 quality in the suspension as well, making for better drivability, sportiness and comfort really. And overall, 56.5 durability, 24.4 sportiness, 57.9 comfort, which is really good, 40.1 prestige. For a V6 that's also very decent. And then 71.8 safety. Overall, like the stats are pretty good on this car, so it's well tuned. Convertible luxury is where it's very strong, apparently. Luxury and then premium. Yeah. To be honest, like, I know that some people prefer V6s over inline-sixes, and I think I've gone over this before, but just for a luxury car in general, you have your advantages if you pick an inline-six, because it's just smoother, and smoothness counts for comfort. Just put an inline-six in there, and reversible mufflers, and comfort is gonna be through the roof, or not through the roof, but a lot better. And the main criticism I have is with the engine. With this power and torque curve, I don't think this is very realistic or suitable for a car like this. It should have more like a flat torque curve, and then a usable power band in the top range. Whereas this just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing, and when it hits its peak, you have to shift again, and then you end up somewhere here where there's still a lot more to come. Let's see how this car performs on like the quarter mile for say. And it did a 15.7. Considering this has 333 horsepower and all-wheel drive, that's not very impressive. It is a it's a 2-ton luxury car, but at the same time, like 7.3 seconds from 0 to 100 and 15.7 seconds over the quarter mile with an engine like this is just more 80s like performance. I think you could have gotten a little bit more out of that. Sure, the automatic transmission does have something to do with this. If we go for like a manual, it'll be better. Yeah, significantly better. But then again, that's not the point of the car. And the other thing I was gonna mention is, why does it have ceramic discs? Oh, because you have brake fade with vented discs, and if you increase the size, then it's gone. Well, okay. I mean, wait, why is this now a little bit heavier than before? Oh, it was only 3 pistons before. Good. Other stuff to mention. Economy 11.27 liters per 100 kilometers is not that bad for a 2-ton luxury ship like this, with a high revving V6 engine that makes all of its torque up top. $68,880. So he's probably aiming for like $69,000 or $70,000 of price, which is more expensive than a Hyundai Genesis, I think. but at the same time, it's also more powerful than most Genesis variants. It's also got all-wheel drive compared to the Genesis's rear-wheel drive, and well, it's definitely not a bad car. It's a good car the way it is now, but it could be even better if you retune this engine, maybe even get rid of the VVL, because I find it pretty hard to get a lot of power but not have it be very peaky like this when using VVL. You could, if you don't want turbos, then that's probably the way to go. Again, watch the fuel octane you have left, and yeah, what else did I have in mind? Oh yeah, the brakes. Just go for vented discs and a little bit bigger size, and you will be fine. That'll also shave off a lot of costs. Like right now we're at how much in total cost? 22,315. That brings us up to 68,880. Okay, if you go for vented discs and slightly bigger size, we're saving over 400 total costs here, and the car is almost $8,000 cheaper. Yeah, $8,000 cheaper just by changing that. And you will also be more competitive here now in premium and luxury segment, and more affordable. Just saying, it's the little things that can make all the difference. And what else was I about to say? Yeah, if you're gonna be going for an active comfort spring setup, which is already expensive, why not go all the way and spend a little bit extra for the adaptive or semi-active dampers as well? Oh, it reduces durability by 0.1 point. It adds spoiliness, it adds comfort, it adds prestige. Well, that's debatable then. Like, if you wanna have great drivability and every little bit counts, then gas mounted tube dampers are probably better. And what else is there to say? I think I've covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover. Let's see it. Let's look at the running costs real quick. $3,821 per year is not that bad for a car of this size and this power. Let's see, anything that's catching my attention. Not really. Insurance costs are always going to be high on a car like this. Yeah, overall it's a good car, but you could do better. You could improve this in some certain areas that I think I've mentioned and explained. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Leave a like or a comment if you did. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.